Fixing up a car, driving it again. Searching for the water, hoping for the rain. Up and up, up and up. Down upon the canvas, working in a mill, waiting for a chance to pick an Irish field. Up and up, up and up. See a bird form a diamond in a rough. See a bird soaring high, but the flood is in your blood. It's in your blood. Underneath the storm and under the sand, sitting with the boys that takes away the pain. Up and up, up and up. Saying, we're gonna get it together right now. We're gonna get it together somehow. We're gonna get it together and fly. Whoa, we're gonna get it together right now. We're gonna get it together and flow. We're gonna get it together and go. Up and up and up. Lying in the gutter, aiming for the moon. Trying to empty out the ocean with a spoon. Up and up, up and up. How come people suffer? How come people part? How come people struggle? How come people break your heart? Break your heart. Oh, yes, I wanna grow. Yes, I wanna feel. Yes, I wanna know.
learning Espanol from Duolingo. Salsa means salsa, and verde means green. Salsa means sauce. Really? Is that what salsa means? Alexa, Alexa, what is salsa translated in English?
What is salsa in English? What is salsa? I will do my search.
Why don't you do your search, and I will go ahead. So the whole premise of this idea, the whole premise of this stream, is that oh, hey, there we go, there we go. Is it a salsa made with tomatoes? No, it's a salsa made with tomatillas. We're actually going to be doing, like I said, salsa. We're going to be doing salsa verde.
Salsa does indeed mean sauce.
Sauce. It means sauce. Okay, well there we go. And Chunky, you might. Are you going to get on the stream, or are you just going to heckle me from the other side? This is why we do Philippa's Freaky Friday. We do Philippa's Freaky Friday because I'm trying to talk, and then the enchantress over there just has to talk over me. Enjoy your your naranja.
Naranja.
Enjoy your naranja. All right. I'm busy with my tomatilla. All right. So here's the thing. The reason why I decided I was going to do this stream is because I mentioned several times about what apparently was released last month, which is Trejos Tacos, which is an actual cookbook. It is an actual cookbook by Danny Trejo. Now, those of you who do not know who Danny Trejo is, I'm going to give you some movies to look up because these are movies that he's known for. Heat, that's one movie you want to check out. From Dusk Till Dawn, he is in that. He is also he's done a lot of movies with Robert Rodriguez, if I remember correctly. He is also he's in The Flash. He plays Link's dad. If I remember, that was the name that Cisco gave her. Yeah. I you know, if I ever see the cast of The Flash, that's gonna be my question to the cast of The Flash.
300 movies.
300 movies from Danny Trejo, and he always plays the tough guy. He is known for playing the tough guy. Now, if you want to see a great interview with Danny Trejo, look up, I believe it was Parts Unknown with Anthony Bourdain, and in the LA show, he does an interview with Anthony Bourdain, Danny Trejo, and it is amazing. It is amazeballs. This is a very cool interview.
He's like a very cool guy.
He does. He does seem like a very cool guy. And so when we found out that he had a cookbook, I'm like, okay, I want to get this cookbook. I want to give this cookbook a try. And this is a multi-layered recipe that we're working on. Okay, multi-layered. There's a lot of working parts here, so I'm going to try to break down exactly what we're doing with this step, and then I'm going to talk about the other step, which I did last night. I know that sounds a lot more confusing than it should be, but trust me, I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. Sort of. Okay. So first off, we are making salsa verde today for a larger recipe. The larger recipe is carne asada tacos, and I'll be getting to that later on. But this is one of the things that we're doing right here, which is the salsa verde that goes with the tacos. Now, you start off with 12 medium tomatillos. Now, what's the difference between a tomato and a tomatillo? All right, there's a couple. But let's go ahead and let's talk about the obvious. First off, this is a tomato. It is red. If you want to make salsa verde, you do not want something that is red. You want to be working with something that is green, which is in fact the tomatillo. Now,
Right, so it's salsa rojo.
now if you make salsa rojo, that is when you pull out tomato. No wait, is it tomato? Tomato. Tomato in Spanish is tomato. There you go.
Tomato.
What? Alexa, what is tomato in Spanish?
Tomato in Spanish is Tomate.
Tomate. With an E. There's a way. There's an E. So you have tomate if you want salsa rojo or if you want just regular salsa. But since we're making salsa verde, we're going to be making it using tomatillas. Now, tomatillas you may or may not find in your average supermarket. You can if you've got a really good produce section in your
I
supermarket.
imagine somewhere like Whole Foods would probably have.
Whole Foods would have them if your area is Whole Foods friendly. Hey, how you doing, Ian? Good to see you. Ian's in the house. We are making salsa verde today, Ian, and we're using tomatillas. Now, the thing about tomatillos. Now, if your produce section does not have tomatillos, what you want to do is you want to find an international supermarket. We actually have one in our area called World Market, right?
World Market.
And they have one of the best produce sections in this area. Primarily because when you go in there, you'll notice that they have like really big bags of rice or really big bags of noodles or stuff like that. It's because they cater to a lot of the restaurants here in the area. So that is what makes World Market and their produce section so good. Now, one of the biggest differences though between a tomatillo and a regular tomato or tomate is that the tomato as we know it does not have any kind of papery skin. It has a skin, but it's very thin, and we're used to having it look like this. The tomatillo actually has like what looks like almost like a paper skin.
It's like a little lantern.
It almost looks like this. It almost looks like a bulb of garlic when you think about
So
it.
that sort of papery skin on it.
But of course it's green, and so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to peel these things. Let me illustrate exactly how tough it is to peel a tomatillo. Pretty much it's
neat.
this. It's just peel it back, grab the stem, twist.
And
You're
you want
done.
to clean it because the other thing is it's a little sticky.
Is it now?
Yeah.
Voice from off camera that wants to continue to pitch in.
Sorry,
You are such a helper. You are such a helper.
Look for the helpers. That's what Mr. Rogers said.
Yep, look for the helpers. Such helpers. All right.
It's all right. You're going to be busting in on me at the.
That I am, darling. That I am. I will be busting on you happily during your stream. Any whiskey in this recipe? Ian. Oh, Ian, you sure you're not Scottish? Wow, Ian. No whiskey in this recipe. Ian heard about the. So Chunky asked earlier who let me in the kitchen. Last time I was in the kitchen, I was making cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie. So nobody was complaining then. All right. So again, just to
complaining now.
they're not. No, you're just doing a lot of interjection.
I just want you to point out that isn't actually at all a tomato. That's the funny thing about it.
Yes. So Pip in her. Ugh, oh, gross.
But
A bug just came out of it.
guess what? It's fresh fruit. So it's not on them.
It just startled me.
What was it?
It was a beetle of some description.
It was a beetle. Oh my God! Burn the house down.
Yeah, because you're Miss Cool when you're if a beetle suddenly if a bug
No,
suddenly,
if it's snakes.
if it's snakes you're out, right?
If I peel back a tomatillo and find a snake,
You're out. You're out. You're done.
burning the house down.
So Dan of the past. Buenos tardes, mi amigo. ¿Cómo está, mi amigo? We are making salsa verde today from Danny. Did you know, Dan? Did you know that he just said buenos tardes, papa. Papa de Twitch. That's my daddy. Yeah, Danny Trejo has a cookbook, and
Just came out.
and see, Dan also likes to cook on his stream as well.
Oh, okay.
So Dan, you need to get a copy of this book if you don't have it already.
Maybe
Trejo's
make something else
Tacos.
out of it. Dan
What?
can make something else out of it.
Yeah. Okay. So Dan, just so you know, just so we don't layer one on top of the other. I am making the fresh salsa verde. I am also this is for the recipe that is the carne asada tacos, and this is a really well put together cookbook. It doesn't just have recipes; it also has things like stories of when he's in, of when he was in LA, of when he's in LA, some stories from the set, things like that. It's really cool. Now, one thing it does not have, I'm just going to come out and say this. It doesn't have a recipe in there for tortillas. But I mean, tortillas are, as you've seen on this screen before, tortillas are extremely easy to make. Extremely easy to make. Gonna grab the setup on the iPad. All right, thanks a lot, Ian. So while you're not gonna have that, you're gonna have some other recipes. So Dan, stick around. I think you're gonna get a kick out of the carne asada that we're putting together. All right, so you need 12 of these. Now, Pip went to private school, so because she went to private school, chat, Pip got me 11 tomatillos, but they said medium-sized tomatillos. These were actually the average size tomatillos that we saw at World Garden. So we're sticking with that. We think we're going to have plenty. But once you pull the skin off of them, go on ahead and just rinse them off, because they are going to have, as Pip said earlier, they're going to be kind of sticky on the inside. That doesn't really affect the flavor, but you just want to go on ahead and you just want to rinse them off. Yeah, is it called World Market or Global Foods?
I thought it was World Market. I will check on that.
Okay.
In a second.
Global Foods, Dan. I know they've got places out here, but I want to say in Manassas on Sudley Road, there's a place called World Market.
There's a couple of places actually, and there's a new place opening soon.
Right. I knew
I
that.
think that one was called. I can't remember.
So, well, if you find it out, go ahead and shout it out, because I know you will. All right. So we got our tomatillos. They're all peeled. They're all rinsed. They're ready to go. Now, the recipe calls for one medium jalapeno left whole. Here's the thing about jalapenos. And Dan, I am El Diablo Blanco, so I get it. I have a terrible palate. It is it's the palate of a 3-year-old, which means I'm really sensitive to heat. And Dan liked the fact I call myself the White Devil. So what we're using in its stead is this. I do not like it hot. No, I do not. Neither does anybody in my family. But Dan, when this is over, you can work me up on my palate, okay? I will coach you in the ways of Scotch.
We've gone from mild to medium in Indian food.
An Indian food, yes, an Indian food. But what we're using in its stead, instead of jalapenos, we're going to use something called ancho chili paste.
Yeah.
What we like about ancho chili, and this is the beautiful thing about cooking, is that you can look at a recipe and go, I'm not. Indian food is baby yogurt, according to Dan of the past.
The Mexicans and the Indians need to take that outside.
Yeah. You guys sort that out on your own. I'm gonna train you, Papa. He's already started. So ancho chili, the thing I like about ancho chili paste is it's got a little bit of a sting. For me, let me say that, Dan. For me, it's got a little bit of a sting, but it's also got this nice, rich, earthy tone and adds a lot to food. So I think I'm gonna use like a good tablespoon of ancho chili to go on ahead and use that instead of the jalapeno. All right, so now we get to the garlic. Now I know I've done garlic before on this stream, but I'm going to do it again. The recipe calls for 2 cloves of garlic, and what some people have an issue with when it comes to garlic is getting the skin off of it. Now some will just go on ahead and they will. I thought we had a press here. No, here it is. Some people will just go on ahead and they'll just throw the garlic clove into the press and then go for it. But here's the thing. If you don't take the paper skin off...
Global food.
It is called Global Food, yeah. So Dan, you were right about that. It's called Global Food. I thought it was World Market, but it's Global Food. But to get the paper easily off of here, this is the method that I do. I go on ahead and I just lightly press. And when you lightly press like that, it does pop the garlic clove a little bit, but it also makes it a little easier to peel the paper off, because it separates the paper from the clove itself. And then when you're done, there's your garlic clove. Nice and clean. Push that out of the way. Repeat. That one worked really well. There we go. Thank you, sir. And there you go. There are your 2 garlic cloves. But the thing is, this is cooking with tea, cooking with Twitch Dad, which means we always double the amount of, if not triple, the amount of garlic that we put in here. Now, because I've already got a lot of garlic in the carne asada, I'm going to go on ahead and just double this one. So instead of 2 garlic cloves, I'm putting in 4 garlic cloves. Then it calls for half of a medium white onion. Good news is I have half of a medium white onion left over from last night. I don't believe it says, it just says half of a medium white onion. It doesn't say anything about chopping. Ah, there's a good reason why it doesn't say chopping, and we'll get to that we'll get to that later on in the stream. Now again, if this onion has a little bit of the skin left on it, just give it a good tug, and you can easily take some of the outer skin off if you need to. There you go. So mincing, you're right. We're going to get into that in just a second. But you know, it is cooking with Danny Trejo, so I think I need a reason to use this. So I'm going to go on ahead and just use the. If my finger comes off, you saw it here first. There you go. There we go. It'll be great for my Twitch stream if I take a finger off this way. So.
So many views.
So many views. I don't like this. That's dangerous in my hands. I'm just gonna go with a straight up kitchen knife.
But you tried, you know.
I did try. I don't have a machete. I did have a butcher's knife. All right. Rather bloody, sir. Yes, I know. That could get nasty. That could get nasty. So I'll give it a rough chopping. There we go. That's good enough for what we're going to be doing later. All right. And then, okay. It wants me for this salsa verde to throw in a 1/4 cup of chopped fresh cilantro. Here is why we're not doing cilantro. It is the devil's weed. It's just we're one of those types that when we have cilantro, it tastes like soap.
It's actually genetic.
Yeah.
Some people.
So I kind of married into it, and
I think
we both have it. We both have it. I know. So here's what I'm going to use instead. Instead of that, if we want a little zip, I would say you throw in just a little bit of smoked paprika, just for a little bit of zip. And then last but not least, not last but not least, they say juice of 1 lime plus extra to taste. So here we're gonna use 2 limes because we love lime in this house. We tend to use limes instead of lemons. Anytime a recipe calls for lemons, we usually throw in limes instead.
Which is, apparently Mexican food is all about limes.
Yes.
Limes.
Yes. And then later on, a tablespoon of kosher salt. Now, what I use instead, and this is the thing about cooking. Cooking is, I would say, and Dan, back me up on this if this is true or not. Cooking is in my opinion, about 60% confidence. You want to go on ahead and you want to say, all right, if there's something in this that I don't like, then I'm going to substitute with something that I do like. So, for example, instead of kosher salt, I'm going to be using Chardonnay oaked smoked sea salt, and that is going to. So I'm basically going to. I'm going to finish this off because there's about a tablespoon in there. All right. Now about the limes, getting the juice out of the limes, pretty easy to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get ourselves a cup because it calls for the juice of the lime, and there's actually a lot of juice in good limes. So I'm going to use this cup. I'm going to rinse this off. So pro tip, when it comes to working with utensils and working with things like onions and garlic, wash your hands repeatedly. Because if you have been chopping onions and then your eye itches and you don't wash your hands and you itch your eye with the hand that you were holding the onion with, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. All right, so let me get that out of the way first. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and after I've rinsed. And the other reason too, you want to rinse off your utensils after using them, is if you don't want your lime juice to taste like onions. Yeah, you're gonna want to go on ahead and just rinse off the knife. Now people usually they go, oh, I can go ahead and get lime juice. I can go on ahead and get a bottle of that, and that would work. Yes, if you want to use that shortcut, you're more than welcome to. But here's the thing. Oh, thank you about the hat. Yeah, my COVID hat. You got to dance to it too. It gives it a better. That's very true. I would put music on, but I had music on earlier, but we were trying to find the balance between the stream and the music was a little much, so I went on ahead and took the music out. So to go back to the reason we're doing it this way with the lime juice. Yes, if you've got one of those presses, you can use that. You can always just squeeze this thing out too. The nice thing about lime juice from the lime is that nothing beats the freshness of juice straight from the source. Yes, you could get lime juice in a bottle. Yes, you could, when it calls for oranges, you can get orange from you could get orange juice, and that would work fine. But when you can get it straight from the actual fruit itself, it's always, always, always going to taste better. Fresh is always better. So while I'm doing this, one of the things that I would say about what we're all going through right now is that probably one of the best things about the whole COVID-19 situation and the lockdown has been that I think a lot of people are returning back to cooking. I know a buddy of mine from streaming was basically saying his wife was saying, yeah, I think we blew through our grocery budget last week, and he's like, yeah, but we're not going out as much. We're not going out as much, and because of that, we're getting 2 or 3 meals, and I think we're actually coming out ahead. And I told him on the stream, I said, look, you are most certainly coming out ahead, and the best part about when you're cooking is you are you're not only expanding your own skill set, but you're also you have full control over what goes in this. If you want to have if you want to use something different than what's out in the if you see a dish and you like everything but maybe 1 or 2 of the ingredients, you can make that dish at home and make it the way you want it to. Cooking over. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I told Pip when they were talking about loosening up the restrictions here in Northern Virginia. My thoughts were, okay, that's fine, but I'm more than happy staying at home and taking and just doing this on my own. Oh, spam. Because I enjoy cooking. Some people don't enjoy cooking, but for me it's very therapeutic and I just enjoy it. All right, so once your lime half looks like that, you're pretty much done. You're pretty much done. And then we go on to the next bit. Now, if on juicing your lime like this, you feel like that there's more in there, I'm going to go on ahead and I'll give you some tips on how to get more juice out of there. First off, get your thumb inside the inside the slice, and then just press against the sides, and just work along the sides from the inside of the lime. I would say maybe 60 to 70% of the juice is going to get into that cup.
Plus your hands smell great.
Plus my hands smell fantastic. And just a little dab behind each ear, and there you go. Ooh, that stings.
Well, wake you up in the
morning. Hey, hello.
Do not have just shaved your beard and then rub lime juice.
Exactly. Yeah. Pro tip: do not shave and then, not that I did, but do not shave and then go cooking and say, hey, let me put some lime juice on my face.
The screams will be echoing.
That will hurt. That will hurt. But no, it's the thing about cooking is it's a time to slow down, and it's a time to get creative. It is a terrific time to get creative, and I will say I've actually done things from a cooking perspective that I've never done before. And what I think is funny about well, since the whole COVID-19 lockdown, and I know Pip. You know, Pip was. I always thought Pip was the real baker slash cook in this family. But one of the things that she's done to challenge herself is she's starting to get into baking breads, and she's tried ciabatta, which is not as easy as Panera makes it out to be. Um, what else have you done since this whole thing started? Oh, you've been experimenting with pizza dough.
Yes, my pizza dough is still under experimentation.
Yeah. She's actually watched a couple of YouTube videos about how to make better pizza dough.
Try that out tomorrow.
You are? All right.
Reactivating the yeast for my sourdough pizza dough.
We never talked like this before COVID. We never
No.
did. We never did. It was like, oh, you want pizza? We don't feel like making it tonight. You know, and
Well, I found a mill in
Yeah.
the Midwest.
yeah,
It was grinding its own flour, and they produced what they call 00 flour, which is designed for pizzas.
right.
And I think
Man, my hands smell fantastic.
I think delivering my pizza was pretty good last Saturday.
It was good. It was good. It was good. So far, this is how much juice we've gotten, and I would say that is from a lime and a half, and I'm looking at what maybe a quarter of a cup, especially after this last one. So again, just to see if I can get it at a good angle here. There we go. You'll always get your initial amount on the first squeeze, and then the rest is just, all right, we're gonna to put it in Destiny terms, we're gonna farm for more juice. We're gonna farm for more juice. So then you literally start a grind. You press and you grind your thumb into the meat of the lime, and just let it come on out.
I think Danny says in his book, if you you get those metal presses where you put the press.
Right.
He says if you're going to do a lot of lime juice, that's a good idea.
If you're going to do a lot. Now this is the nice thing about salsa is that I personally think this is a good beginner's recipe because I am a total beginner at doing Mexican / Latino food from scratch. Now, because of COVID though, I actually found a terrific simple recipe online, and I made tortillas from scratch, not for this recipe, but for another recipe, and then we did enchiladas completely from scratch, which was phenomenal. There's our lime juice. I'm going to set that aside, and next up is all right, so we've got the salt set aside, the ancho chili paste set aside. Now, they say a medium-sized pan, and the problem is what constitutes medium. This is medium adjacent. Sometimes when it calls for a large pan, we use this. When it calls for a medium pan, we use this. So I'm just going to say this is a medium-large pan, or a large-medium pan, if you will. But this is going to be the pan we use. We're going to let this one heat up. I might have to change camera angles on the main camera since we're all done with the food prep. But basically, all of this is eventually going to become our salsa verde. I got to wait for that pan to heat up before we put stuff in there. Now, I thought I would think that this would be the time that we would chop up the tomatoes and tomatillos and pop them in there and then let them go. But let me smell your hands. No, Dan, doesn't work that way. Twitch doesn't work that way yet. I'm going to give them a little bit of a rinsing. But according to Trejo and his cookbook, he basically says get a heavy skillet over medium heat until it is very hot, about 4 minutes. Add the whole tomatillos and the jalapeno. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to wait and add the ancho chili paste into the mincing part, which is going to be here. So what we're using, Treo basically says you can use a food processor if you've got it. If you don't have a food processor, you can go ahead and use a blender. And we have one of these Osterizers, like industrial strength candy apple red blenders here. So we're going to use that as our food processor. Sometimes it works. Last night it worked great, but there was a lot of liquid in the marinade that I was creating. Sometimes it doesn't, so we'll just have to wait and see how this goes. But you do not chop any of the tomatillos for this recipe. He basically says put them in whole, and then we're going to let them cook in there for 5 to 7 minutes. So I will swing this camera around, the food cam around to the other side, and then we'll talk more then. So when it says medium high, what does that mean? When they say medium high heat, what do they mean? Especially if you're not using gas. One of the reasons why people love cooking with gas is because you have a lot more control over the amount of heat. When you're cooking electric, you have to guess, because instead of having the flame to deal with, you're basically going, well, let's see, I got 1 through 10, 10 being high, 1 being low. So why don't we go 6? I'm actually going 7. Medium high, I put medium high somewhere between 6 and 8. 9 and 10 I reserve for high. And if I want to have more heat, I'm going to go 7 or 8. But I think right now I've got it set actually at 7. And once we get up to 4, we'll be good. Now, oil. The recipe does not call for oil, but the reason why you use oil is because it helps conduct heat. I'm going to stick with the recipe as is. I'm not gonna, well, apart from my own modifications, but I'm not going to go on ahead. I usually cook with oil at all times, but I'm in this particular case, I'm gonna trust Machete and just say no. I'm going to go on ahead and leave this out of the equation.
It actually says in the book that he doesn't use olive oil. He uses
Canola oil. Well, that makes sense.
It has a higher temperature.
Right. But that's what the oil is usually used for in cooking. In some cases, if you use like really like high test gourmet olive oil, which you can find even in the Northern Virginia area, there is some flavor that gets in there. But in this particular case, we want the flavor to be here. We want the flavor to come from the tomatillos and the garlic and the onions, etc., etc. Now they didn't say I was supposed to mince the onions, but I wanted to go ahead and mince the onions before we put it in here. All right, so so it's been about 4 minutes. So I'm just going to add in the whole, just all of these. So let's go ahead and let's swing this camera around, and we're going to pan up. There's ever a slight delay here. There we go. There's our pan. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to pop these in here. You did say they should sizzle a little bit once you get them in here. It feels weird not using. It does feel. I won't lie. I won't lie, chat. It feels very weird not using oil or not using it. I can get this out of the way then. It does feel weird not using something like oil or something or something of that nature. But I'm just going to let these go. And according to Danny, we're supposed to be putting them in there for 5 to 7 minutes. So Alexa, set a timer for 7 minutes. Alexa, set a timer for 7 minutes.
7 minutes. Starting now.
Now he also says, when it comes to the time to flip them over, he says use tongs. So we got our tongs here, and we're using tongs that have a nice little silicone tip. They're going to be nice and easy, and they're going to go on ahead. What we're doing is we're blistering. It's a process called blistering. We are blistering. I'm trying to move out of the way. I'm trying to figure out the best angle here because you don't necessarily want to see my chest. There we go. That's perfect. So blistering is where, right now, by throwing in the tomatillos, they had a nice smooth skin. Everything looks real pretty. But when you blister them, they're gonna have spots all over them. And once they have those spots, coming from the heat, obviously, we then turn them over. We're gonna blister them on the other side. But this is also softening them up, making them ready for when we put them into the blender a little later to get that nice salsa texture that salsa is known for. Again, he's not calling for oil or butter. In fact, I'm going to double check the recipe as we go. He says they should sizzle when they hit the dry, hot pan. So there you go, straight from Machete's mouth to your stomach. So they should sizzle when they hit the dry, hot pan. Cook until the vegetables are black and blistered in spots and soft on one side. And then use tongs to turn the tomatillos and jalapenos, which we're not using. And then after we turn them over, we're going to be adding the garlic cloves. Then we cook the tomatillos, the garlic, and then once the garlic cloves are toasted but not burned, again 5 to 7 minutes, we remove the pan and we let them we let this whole mix cool to room temperature, and then we transfer all this stuff to the blender or the food processor. That's when we add the onion, the lime juice, the salt, and then in the case of our time, the ancho chili paste. For just that little extra zip and just that little extra flavor. To me, ancho chili is a nice substitute from jalapeno because yes, and before Dan just shakes his head and goes, but bear with me. If you're not big on hot food, if you like a milder salsa, you take the jalapeno out. Or if you want something that's a little more medium as opposed to hot, then you go on ahead, you add in something like ancho chili. And like I said, ancho chili has just a slight amount of burn, but then you could go on ahead and throw in if you want to just a little bit of heat. You get that from ancho chili. Now, if we're feeling brave, and I will talk about when you would feel brave. Let me see if I can find it. I used to have in here. I didn't think we went through all of it. Oh, actually, we need to put that on the list. I thought we had sriracha in here. We apparently do not have sriracha. If you are like Dan and you want your salsa verde to be hot, not just temperature hot, but I mean like that burn kind of hot, then go on ahead, add in some sriracha. The sriracha will kick it up even hotter. Or use different peppers instead of jalapeno. If you're feeling daring, go on ahead and use the Carolina pepper. From what I understand, the Carolina pepper makes the jalapeno look like a bell pepper. Yeah, you killed your sriracha. Okay, but you know what I'm talking about. So Dan is now. Dan, I don't think I ever asked you, because I know that you do your own. Hang on a minute. First off, I forgot. I should have done this when you popped it in. When you popped in, I should have done this. All right. So Dan, I know you will float back and forth between speaking English y Español, but what is your background? What nationality? Where do you and your family hail from? Do you hail from Mexico? Do you hail from South America? Where exactly do you do that? What is your nationality? Because I'm just curious, because that's the thing, is that just because you speak Spanish, it does not necessarily mean you hail from, say, you hail from Mexico. You may hail from Puerto Rico. You may hail from Central America or something like that. Oh, you're Puerto Rican. 100. See, that's the thing. So you're born and raised in New York, but you're Puerto Rican. Okay. My buddy Froy, as he likes to say, how you can tell the Puerto Ricans from other Latinos is the Puerto Ricans live without pasión, and that's the way and he is also so you're New Yorkian with some Puerto Rican. So you're New Yorkian. I love that. Well, then yeah, when Froy and I start talking again about doing a fundraiser for Puerto Rico, I will definitely be in touch with you. But yeah, I mean, Froy was twisting my arm when I knew Froy from Code.gov, and Froy was twisting my arm to get back on the Spanish train because I took Spanish for 3 years in high school, and I let that skill lapse. And then Pip discovers Duolingo, and she's teaching herself Spanish. She is on her like nearly 400th day streak, and after a while, I said, I got to get on this horse and get back onto it. And I'm amazed at how much has come back to me. But yeah, Dan, you have got a lot on your plate, Dan, concerning what's coming down the pike. And I know this isn't your first kid, but you've got a pregnant lady on the way, a pregnant lady who's got a baby on the way, and you're on the countdown clock, right? You are on the countdown clock, right? You are you're at that 2 week phase. At least that's what they're aiming for, correct? Any day now. Good times, baby. Good times. All right. So when it comes to the temperature of your food, it really comes down to what do you want to add to it. You're going to add sriracha. You're going to try a different kind of pepper or something like that. Carolina ghost pepper. That's the one. Alexa off. That's the one that everybody raves about. Carolina ghost pepper. All right. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the tongs, turn these over. These guys are popping. That's interesting. I wasn't expecting to pop. Now, even though tomatillos are not actually part of the tomato family, that was something that Pip found out. They're actually part of the gooseberry family, which go ahead and interpret that as you will. Alexa, set a timer for 6 minutes. Now we add the garlic.
30 minutes.
And just let that cook. So yeah, the one thing that tomatillos and tomatoes have in common is that they're juicy on the inside. So what we're doing now that we're and if you wanted to know what they look like right now, whoa, that's what they look like. Something got on the burn, but that's what they look like right now. They got a nice little cooked part on the top. So we're gonna go ahead and pop that back on there. If I were to burn down my kitchen again, it would be so good, so freaking good for my Twitch stream. It really would. It would make a difference. It really would. Can't wait to be able to be close to people again. We need to cook some deliciousness in the kitchen. Deca mi casa. I'd love that. I'd love that, man. In fact, hang on. I want to drop a marker there for a little. I'll call that flare up. I will say this is to me that's one of the coolest things about the dashboard, the new dashboard. Well, I shouldn't say new dashboard because it's a few months old now, but the dashboard for Twitch.tv is really slick because if you, I'm gonna burn myself, but the stream marker that allows you to drop a little descriptor on it, I think that's great. I love that. I absolutely love that. But the one thing that I get a little upset about with the Twitch stream is or the Twitch dashboard, the rate channel function I think needs a little bit of work. And what I mean by a little bit of work is that the Twitch raid button only shows like the top 5 of whoever it is you're following. So if you're following people like, and I'm not necessarily picking on these people specifically. This is just how my Twitch stream looks. Like I'll see Grenadier Jake, I'll see Dr. Lupo, I will probably see Lulu, I will see Damn to Hell, I will see Grenadier Jake, I will see those people in the top. But the thing about the raid channel is I wanna see like people in the mid and lower sections of who's following, because sometimes I want to help somebody else. I want to give them a nice little kick up in their numbers, maybe get them from 10 viewers to 20 viewers or something along that. And I can't do that with the raid channel button. So I have to not only keep my dashboard open, especially when I'm streaming with Pip, as I sometimes do, but then I've got to actually pull up a second window and have my stream running, in that, of course, muted so that I'm not talking over myself. And see, that's the problem. The drop down doesn't necessarily work for me. So I'm doing it old school. I basically pull it up on a separate window and I go, okay, let's see who's streaming. Okay, bing, boom. One of the things I have been doing lately, though, that I just started doing because I saw another streamer do it. A guy by the name of Big Marvinsky, regular to the stream. He actually looks in the directory and says who's streaming the game I'm doing. And by keeping it in the directory, you're basically assuring that your audience is going from one say BioShock Infinite stream to another BioShock Infinite stream, or Witcher to Witcher, or Predator Hunting Grounds to another Predator Hunting Grounds, and of course Destiny to Destiny. So yeah, I get it. I just think that the raid channel just would, if it just had a little more scrolling ability, that would be great. I'm just gonna give him a little shake here. Just a wee bit of a shake. Garlic, the garlic is looking toasted. I want to make sure the garlic is toasted. Here's the garlic. Garlic is looking good. Materials are looking good. Garlic also has a bit of a juice in it. So I mean, again, you're basically cooking. You're cooking the inside of the garlic as well, and all this basically just helps to soften it up, which is going to be great for when we get it into the blender. And yeah, you're right. I mean, yeah, when you're going within the directory, that's always fascinating to watch too, because then I go, oh, so I'm not the only one. I mean, I'm seeing people that are streaming BioShock Infinite, or I'm seeing people stream Predator Hunting Grounds, and where you see yourself fall into that category. I'm like, oh, all right, that's cool, and that also kind of puts into perspective like where people fall in the grander scheme of whatever it is you're streaming. I'm not expecting, for example, this morning I wasn't expecting a lot of people streaming BioShock Infinite, because it's a game that came out in 2013, and chances are where I'm leaning my next game to be for Fridays, I may also be, again, in lower numbers, but that's the way I stream. I don't stream what's popular. I stream what I want to play. And sometimes the stuff that I want to play has been stuff that's on my to-play list, but I haven't gotten around to doing it. And the game I'm thinking about giving a shot on is Batman Arkham Asylum. And here's why. I narrowed it down to Batman Arkham Asylum. Ooh, Alexa off. I narrowed it down to Arkham Asylum because that was another game that I had started very similar to BioShock, and I got stuck in it, and I couldn't get past this one point. And I'd like to remedy that. I'd like to remedy that. And after this morning, I admit, I'm feeling confident. I got a boost of confidence. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and take this off the heat. I'm going to turn this element off. Pro tip, make sure you always turn your elements off when you're done with them. I'm going to straighten this up, and I'm going to put, another pro tip. Make sure you're only using the tools that you need. Pro tip number 3, if you need to do what we need to do next, go on ahead and make sure you have something that will absorb the heat, and make sure it doesn't do anything to your countertops. And in our case, what we've got, I've got to make sure I give it plenty of room. We've got this. We've got, this is actually something that Pip brought back from New Zealand, or actually it was a gift from New Zealand. but this is basically recycled newspaper, and it's been wound really super tight, and it just makes for a great heating pad that you can set skeleton on. We want to wait, and we want to let that cool off, and get to room temperature. But if you want to see what everything looks like in there, you want to see how it all turned out. That's how it turned out. And this is what blistering looks like for the tomatillos. And you'll notice that the garlic is not burned. In the words of Danny Trejo, he basically says, you want to make sure the garlic cloves are toasted but not burned. And you'll notice that they've got a nice dark brown to them as opposed to a charred black. All right. Right now it smells really good. I'm not gonna lie, chat. Rubber mats are your best friend. Well, here and again, the reason I choose Arkham Asylum is because I've been on the fence. At least I know it's narrowed down to two. I'm either going to play Arkham Asylum, or I'm going to turn around and I'm going to play Marvel's Spider-Man, because I've heard nothing but good things about Marvel's Spider-Man. So I'm kind of in between those two games right now. But I'm feeling the itch to do Batman because I remember how cool that game was. That was just a wicked cool game. And yeah, that's what I've heard, Dan. So there's a vote for Spot. I may actually do what I did last time and do a poll and go, all right. So what do? Do I do Batman Arkham Asylum, finally finishing it, or do I do Marvel's Spider-Man? Either is a good choice. That is a fair assessment. That is a fair assessment. So Dan, I know you do cooking on your stream, so I got to ask you, Dan, what is your favorite thing to cook? What is your favorite thing to cook? And pro tip: when you're in the kitchen and you're cooking, make sure to stay hydrated. Make sure to stay hydrated. Have water on hand, unless you're doing cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie. Then maybe have some whiskey on hand. I know it's a big question, and I'm going to throw that out to Chad as well. If you've been cooking, well, first off, a couple things. One, if you've been cooking, you've seen me do my cooking streams before. What is your favorite thing to cook? Or have you tried any of the stuff that I've done on this channel before? Because I know on this channel I've done the homemade tortillas, I've done the cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie. There was something else that I did. My very first cooking stream, and I can't remember what it was. It might have been the cinnamon whiskey pumpkin pie. But I would vote Batman because I like the character better, but game-wise, I've heard that is, you can't go wrong with either game. No, I've heard that too, Courtney. I've heard that too. I've heard people rave about both games. Okay, so while we wait for this to cool to get the room temperature, because right now it's still pretty hot, let me talk about the other step of this. This is just the salsa verde step. Today we are going to be, either tonight, we're going to be making, we're going to be doing street tacos. Now, street tacos, they come in these sizes. These are even smaller than regular taco shells. And what you'll notice is that these are street taco flour tortillas, and they're street taco corn tortillas. Before anybody asks, yes, there is a definitive taste difference between flour and corn tortillas. You really do take it. The way I describe it is the corn tortilla is it's like a taco at the movies because you really have that corn taste. A Puerto Rican dish, the Puerto Rican lasagna. Oh, I don't know what that is, but that sounds fantastic. Yeah, the problem with me doing a smoking stream is that I would have to find like some way of being able to segue from one, like from this, from up here to downstairs, so that I could just easily switch from this computer to not from one source to another source, but from one computer to another computer, because the computer up here is all about the kitchen, right? All about getting it done and all that stuff. And then there's all this time. I mean, it's slow cooking. That's why it's a slow cooker thing. So I would love to do a smoking. Well, that's the idea that I have with Dan of the past. See, all right. So I got to tell the story about. Sorry, Dan. I got to tell the story about how we met. So Dan of the past and I met on our way to TwitchCon, and we wound up being the two guys that sat next to each other. And Dan was my travel buddy. He was asking me question on question, and I was like, wow, I feel like I'm being interviewed, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong, it made the flight go by like super quick, and I found out that Dan lives probably 15 minutes away from me. I mean, he is within spitting distance of me. And what I was thinking about doing when things calm down, and when Dan has his kid and he falls into a routine with that, one of the things that I'd like to do is I'd like to do a smoking / cooking / scotch stream. And what we would do is we would basically sample stuff like sample scotches, talk about scotch and all that stuff. And in between, we'd either be making something in a slow cooker, or we'd be doing some final touches on what's out in the smoker. And that way, I could do a smoking stream. We just have to fill in here. And that's the tricky bit, is trying to figure out what to do in between the sessions of dealing with the smoker and then what are we doing here. So yeah, with a cigar. Oh, you want to talk cigars? Okay, then we'll be fine. We'll be fine. Okay, so we're almost there. We're almost there with the room temperature stuff. So let's talk a little bit about this. Is the salsa verde part, but going to the and by the way, the book, the cover is right there. Treos Tacos. It is available on Amazon. Amazon will get this to you without a problem. The book it's a beautiful hardcover, and it's got some great stories in it. But the three things that I have marked, this is what I'm currently working on. This is what I'm currently working on. The carne asada. This is from the book. Carne asada is one of my all-time favorite dishes. Easy to make, affordable cuts of meat, and it's delicious. Typically made with some tough but full-flavored cuts like flank, flap, and skirt steak. We went ahead and we used sirloin. We had 2 sirloins in there. We said let's use the sirloin. Trick is to slice them thinly across the grain after cooking them on high heat. All the connective tissue that was tough will have melted over the heat, and cutting across the grain makes the fibers of the meat separate when you bite into them. While soy sauce isn't a traditional Mexican ingredient, it's the secret to the success of our carne asada, adding deep flavor and seasoning the steak more than salt alone would. It's best to make this marinade a day in advance, save time to let the flank steak marinate overnight before grilling it. So, what you have, this is your step 1. What we're doing right here, this is going to be step 2. Step 3 is taking the steaks out and going ahead and going to town on them. So let's talk about the marinade while we're waiting for the salsa stuff to cool. So the marinade was a half large white onion roughly chopped. Again, this is where cooking can be really fun. Hold that thought. So the recipe calls for half of a white onion. This the salsa recipe calls for half of a white onion. You saw me use half of a white onion, but you'll notice I have a quarter of this onion left. This and this onion, same onion. So if I used a quarter, what did I use the other one with? Red onion. Red onion has a very distinctive flavor, different from white onion. I love a good white onion, don't get me wrong. But if someone gives me a choice between, yes, it is cooking with tea. It is cooking with tea, son. But if you like the flavor of a white onion, chances are you're gonna love the flavor of red onion all the more. I feel like a red onion has a little more zip. It's got a bitterness that the white onion will have, but it also has a little bit of a sweet texture to it. I just love cooking with red onions, and of course my favorite is a Vidalia. But when you've got white, if you've got the ability to do a red onion and a white onion, I would say instead of a half of a large white onion, do a quarter of a large white onion and then a quarter of a large red onion, and that's what we did. That's what we did. And yes, and it adds color. It adds color. So that was the first big change I made in the recipe. Then 3 chipotle chilies from a can of chipotle chilies in adobo sauce, plus 2 tablespoons of the sauce. So we didn't have access to the chipotle chilies. I kind of wish we did, but in fact, when we went out to get the tomatillas, I found the chipotle chilies in the adobo sauce. So next time we do this, because there probably will be a next time, I'm going to go ahead and do that. But what I used instead was I used 2 tablespoons of ancho chili sauce. 2 medium jalapenos, roughly chopped. No. 6 garlic cloves. I used a full bowl, so that was at least 10 garlic cloves. We did close to a cup, but it was 3/4 of a cup. It was freshly squeezed orange juice. The marinade also calls for cilantro. Again, that's out. 1/4 cup of soy sauce, which you heard Danny say. That's sort of the secret ingredient for this. Juice of 1 lemon. We use the juice of 2 limes. And then a tablespoon of ground cumin, tablespoon of smoked paprika. And then we put the steak in there. So when we were done, chat, we basically took everything you heard there. Oh, and there was also some olive. Oh yeah, and a 1/2 cup of pure olive oil. We were using this really nice olive oil that we get from Old Town Manassas. It's really like primo stuff. And the end result, you basically took all that stuff that I just described and you throw it into this blender. Okay, throw it in this blender. Use the blender like you would a food processor. And the end result was a marinade that looks something like this. Okay, this was the marinade. And what you do is you basically take the marinade and you put it in the in a giant Ziploc bag, and then you put the steak in there, and then you let nature do its work. This steak has been marinating overnight, so it's going to be a nice, solid 24-hour marinade. But the jalapeno, I see you, Dan. I see you, Dan. I see you. I got your number. I got your number. You better be careful. I might get you on a cheap cigars when you come over here. Be nice to me. Be nice to El Diablo de Blanco, or I will get you the cheap cigars. Okay. I'm with Dan. You stop it, Farrell. Machete says anyone can cook, can't resist a ratatouille show. There you go. Stale cigar. I wouldn't even do that to somebody I didn't like. No. Let's see. Okay, so we're about at room temperature now. But that's actually step 1 of this recipe. Step 1 of the recipe is to create the carne asada marinade, and then you can put in your steak. Now we're doing carne asada, okay? This marinade will probably work really well with steak. Will it work with something like pork? Will it work with chicken? Well, not all marinades are created equal. And that's what you've got to remember when you're working with marinades like this, is that you want to make sure that that the marinade suits the meat that you're working with. And in this particular case, we got this carne asada recipe. We're letting the steak do its magic. Now, one of the things that you do with the carne asada once you're done, step 2 is to create the salsa. Then you got step 3, which is, well, what do you want to do with the carne asada when you're done? And that's the beautiful thing about Trejo's Tacos. In this book, you can either do tacos, you can do bowls, you can do burritos, and then you can go into carnitas immediately after that. And carnitas, at least in this particular instance, they're focusing on pork. But when I was reading Trejo's book on on this particular recipe because I was like, yeah, let's do street tacos. He basically said you can put whatever you want in the tacos. You can put whatever you want in the tacos, so long as it's fresh, and so long as it's clean, and so long as it's healthy. He doesn't put crap. He basically said, I don't put junk in my tacos. So I respect that. And tonight, along with the salsa verde, what's going into these tacos are going to be, let's see, carne asada tacos. There's going to be some shredded green cabbage in there. There's going to be some. We're adding cheese in here and probably some, maybe a little bit of sour cream, and then that's it. That's it. Now, he's also got a recipe in here, and I definitely want to get it on this. Take a look at that. Take a look at that, chat. This is what he calls the barbacoa brisket. Barbacoa brisket. I'm getting hungry just looking at that brisket, and I freaking love me a good brisket. That is a project for another time. I will stream it if I can, but we're focusing on the carne asada, and we're focusing right now on step 3 is actually making the tacos. So we're going to be so I may before this stream is out. We could have gone with the cabbage verde or cabbage rojo. Alexa, how do you say cabbage in Spanish?
Cabbage in Spanish is repollo.
Alexa, what is cabbage in Spanish? I want to hear this again.
Cabbage in Spanish is repollo.
Repollo. Did I get that right, Dan? Repollo. Well, we could have gotten repollo verde or repollo rojo. We got rojo, which is actually purple. But no, I may be chopping this up later in the stream. Okay. So we've let it cool to room temperature. Now it's saying to put all of this into the blender until it's completely smooth. So here we go. So I'm going to move. Again, we're going to move well, actually, I'm going to leave this camera here. I'm going to turn this camera around. So repollo. Okay, wow, that's a tricky one. That's the thing I've noticed about getting my Spanish back, my Spanish game back on. There's some, I forgot how tricky some of the words can get. All right, so in here, we're going to put all this. Oh, they've softened up nicely. You can just see it. Oh, man, they're nice and squishy now, chat. They're nice and squishy. These are going to be great. Put all that in there. I can understand how people would say the cleanup is kind of a bummer, but you know what? It's still worth it. Still worth it in my book. All right, there's the top. Here's the top. Now, what I like to do when I'm doing this bit is I like to slowly get there before, and then I'll gradually add in other stuff. All right, so here we're gonna. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Now we're talking. Favorite part, chat. Favorite part. angry. Okay. Not as red as I hoped. Boy, that ancho chili darkened it up pretty quickly. All right. And now comes the killer part. We taste it. So here we go. Okay. This is the thing. This is the thing though, chat. When you create something, it is vitally important that you try it. You have to taste it. I usually say taste it. Oh, you know what I forgot to add? I forgot to add the lime juice. Put this puppy back on. Hold on. I almost forgot to add. I almost forgot the lime juice. That would have been a crime. There's a little taste of it. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, so hang on. Can't forget the lime juice, chat. Cannot forget the lime juice. That would have been a crime. Chavez with the host. Chavez with the host. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you very, very much. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I've got... Okay. Good news, bad news, chat. Good news, I have chips. I have chips. Bad news, they're flavored. Which means they're going to affect the taste of this. Sea salt and vinegar. Which means they're going to be it's going to be even saltier than usual. It's going to be even saltier than usual, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot just in case. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chavez. For a second we were going, I was like, yeah, it does look good, doesn't it? Then you're talking about my butt. Throw that glass cutting board away. All right, let's try this. Let's give it a shot. Unfortunately, chips are the power of salsa. So let me try this. You need a delivery method. So I'm going to use simple flour tortilla. I gotta wash my mouth out. Now Chavez is allowed to criticize the utensils I have in my cooking because I've seen what he uses for cooking, and it's total amateur hour for me. So there you have it. Okay. And that's hard. That is the hardest thing about this particular approach to cooking, because when you marinate something, you never know if people are in the mood for it or not. So you basically have to tell them up front, okay, look, we're doing this taco thing, but we're doing it tomorrow night. I like it. It's got a little sting to it. But, Hey, Sonny, can I borrow you for a moment? I'd like for you to try the salsa verde. You do not have to get on camera.
Okay.
But you do have to be honest. If you don't like it, let me know. Moment of truth, Jack.
Do I have another one?
That's a good sign. Is it good?
Yeah, it's very tangy. A lot of lime.
think see what I'm tasting more of is the ancho. I'm tasting more of the ancho chili, but for
Yeah,
a
that
first,
too.
for a first attempt, I'm pretty pleased with this. That's not Twitch mom, Chunky. That's Twitch daughter.
Hi.
Huh. You want another one? Okay. Now it's a good sign she comes back for more, and she's frantically reaching. Do you want to just take the bowl? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. I think that means,
Bye-bye.
chat. I think that means. Oh wait. Find out if Twitch mom is taking a nap or not. If she's not taking a nap, I'd like to get her opinion on it. Well, leave some for Twitch mom. I'd like to get her opinion on it. So the idea is we're going to use this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to use this with the tacos tonight. You're too slow to read the chat. Oh, okay. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Oh, she's asleep. All right, don't worry about it. Then she missed out. Okay. So salsa verde done. Now what do I do next? Well, right now.
I'm using all of it, right?
No.
Oh.
This is the salsa verde that we're using tonight. So now what I need to do is I need to go on ahead and get the steaks ready. So to get the steaks ready, that means thank you. To get the steaks ready, I have to go out. I have to go on ahead and grill the steaks from outside. I've never tried to do a Twitch stream from outside, but if you all are willing to give it a shot and for awkward and have an awkward camera moment, I can go ahead and take us outside, get this thing started up, and then we can get the steaks out. For the steaks, once I get the steaks up and running, let's see what he said here. It says remove the steak from the marinade, let the excess marinade, place the steak on a platter, set it aside for room temperature for 30 minutes. Good news is it's been, it hasn't been out of the marinade though. So I've got to set that out for 30 minutes. So I'm not going to go on ahead and entertain you all for 30 minutes, but I will go on ahead and say, I will end the stream here, do a little bit of cleanup, and then if you go to my Discord, you'll be able to see some still shots of how things turned out tonight. I think that's fair. But now here it is, our salsa verde. I think it turned out pretty well. Now it's just a matter of putting it on the tacos tonight. And I will have, I'll make sure to put photos in the Discord. So I hope you all enjoyed the stream, a little impromptu stream for the afternoon. Pip and I will be back either 7:30 or 8 o'clock tonight. Still kind of up in the air. We don't know what time Pip wants to go we'll figure that out later. But yeah, this recipe, the carne asada, the marinated steaks, all that stuff. This is coming from the book that I've got pictured here, Trejos Tacos, and this is a quick and simple recipe. This was from beginning to end, it was roughly an hour and a half. So can't complain there. And now I've got fresh salsa. So yeah, I think we're ready to go for tonight. I will keep you all up to speed on what happens with tonight's recipes, but I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. If you all have any questions for me or anything, you can always drop them in the Discord, or you can always, I do have a food channel in my Discord. Go on ahead and feel free to drop your recipes there too. Again, this is from Trejos Tacos. This is Danny Trejo's cookbook. It is available on Amazon. I recommend that you pick it up because if this is any indication of what that is like, I think it's going to be a good night at Casa de Morris. Thanks everybody for sticking around with me today. I really do appreciate it. I'll probably come back with another short Twitch Dad stream sometime this weekend, maybe next week. Thanks everybody, and I hope you all have a great beginning of your weekend. What are the recipes? Oh, if you take a look at the stream, Chavez, that book cover underneath me, it's from a book called Trejo's Tacos, as in Danny Trejo, as in Danny Trejo from Heat and from Robert Rodriguez movies. That Danny Trejo, yes, he's got a cookbook, man, and not only is it a beautiful cookbook, this is Danny Trejo's recipe for carne asada, and yeah, first off, it's a great read. It's a fantastic read because he talks about like the stories of people that he's met in his travels. He's got a section dedicated to Anthony Bourdain, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is the first one we're trying out. We're basically doing street tacos. Now, if you pick up his book for a tortilla recipe, that is not in the book, okay? Which is why we got two different types of street taco shells. We just got them off. It's the only thing that we're not doing fresh from scratch for this particular recipe. But next time we may change that. But yeah, we got both flour and corn, and these are the street tacos that we're doing tonight. What meat cut are we using? Okay, so for his carne asada, I mentioned this earlier, but I'll go ahead and repeat. His carne asada recipe calls for flank or what do you say? Flank or skirt. Flank, flap, or skirt steak. We had actually 2 sirloins in there, and we said, screw it, let's do it with sirloin. And oh, stop! Son, don't worry about it. It's okay. Son, about what happened. Don't worry about it. I don't mind ending stream talking about this too. So I'm kind of bouncing around, jumping around here. So yeah, I mean, flank steak is great for carne asada. Yeah, absolutely, and that's what they're suggesting. But we were trying to go with what we had in our freezer, and we saw that we had. Hold that thought, son. And we had 2 sirloin steaks, so we just wanted to go on ahead and do something with them. And when I came across this recipe, I said, I think we've got it. And oh wait, I promised I would at least do something with this, since we're talking about machete, and we're talking about you know, Trejo and all that. All right. This seems fair, right? Chopping up cabbage for tonight. There we go. So, son, about this morning. So, what I talked to Marv about it too. So, what happened this morning? There was a lot of stuff going on concerning typical Chavez. I'm putting my own hands at risk here, and he's worried about the knives. All right. So, a lot of stuff was happening this morning, and one of the things that I didn't get a chance to really mention this morning, I didn't get the opportunity to mention this morning. The thing about BioShock, and the thing particularly about that boss fight, is that the first time I played BioShock back in 2013, when I first got it for the Xbox, it was one of the first games I ever had for the Xbox. and I was loving the game. I was loving the game right up to the very end. And that boss fight that you all saw this morning, uh, that boss fight that you saw earlier this morning, um, it was the thing that I reached in the game that I couldn't beat. And because I couldn't beat it, it's hung over my head ever since I played the game. I never finished BioShock, and when I started the series, I said, well, I knew if I started BioShock 1 and 2, eventually I would have to do Infinite. And my biggest concern was, okay, well, if I stream BioShock Infinite, am I going to be able to finish it? And when I looked at chat, I basically saw Marv. I saw Marv say, it's really triggering me when I see T not use the Songbird against the Zeppelins, and he was calling it to the deck instead. And then you put that series of carrot tops pointing back to that message. So here's the upside downside of streaming. You need to pay attention to your chat. And when you pay attention to your chat and you see what people are saying, and you may or may not have context to what's being said or why it's being said, you react. And I was already going through a lot of anxiety because I was afraid that I was not going to finish BioShock. And this time, it was going to be on stream. And I was terrified. I was really terrified. For those of you who missed it, you can see it in VOD. But basically, I hit the final boss today in BioShock Infinite, and I beat it on the third attempt. And if you stuck around for the whole thing, you would have seen that I cried while on stream. I cried over this video game because it has haunted me. It has haunted me ever since I played it that first time. And I was terrified. I told Marv this. I said, I was terrified. And Marv even said, that final fight in BioShock Infinite is legit hard. And he said he did it on hard mode. I was being modest. When I first played it, and that was the other thing, when I played BioShock Infinite the first time, I was playing it on easy mode. And this go around, I was playing it on normal difficulty. I was playing it on normal difficulty, which is roughly, I guess, medium, but whatever. Thing was, I wasn't doing easy. I was doing medium. And I mean, this was what we were doing, right? And I was terrified. I was terrified that I was going to make an idiot of I was going to make an idiot of myself more than usual, especially with this game. And I didn't want to. I really wanted to nail BioShock. And the first two goes were going the way they went many moons ago. And I was stressed. I was really stressed. So to actually finish BioShock, finish it on the level that I did, and to do it after the third attempt. And keep in mind, the last time I tried that, the last time I attempted BioShock Infinite, it was on easy mode, and I spent over 2 hours, maybe even 3, trying to beat the final boss fight on the first night. Second night, I spent another 1.5 hours to 2 hours trying to beat the boss fight. And I couldn't. And I gave up. I walked away from it. Finishing it this morning was overcoming a huge, huge fear. And now, if you were asking me, do you still love BioShock? After reading that they're working on a Bioshock 4, I'm just like, I'm feeling the same way about that as I feel about The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, Infinite is now even cooler because now I know how it ends. And that ending was absolutely effing chilling. And not to mention, it was what I would call quantum physics for dummies. I mean, it was crazy pants, incredible. So yeah, little victories, little victories. And when I reacted the way I did, it was because I was stressed out, and I was stressed out about stuff that had nothing to do with the game. This was more about personal anxiety, and I actually proved to myself that I could do it. So if you've got a game, chat, that you've never finished, or a game that you're intimidated by, I'm just going to give you some Twitch dad advice right here, right now. Walk away from it, but come back to it. Come back to it, but don't wait. Don't wait a long time. Don't wait for years. Wait, give yourself maybe a month to work on your skills, work on your skill set, and start fresh and go for it and see what happens. Because if you were asking me, was it worth it going through that anxiety for Bioshock? Yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. And even Marv was like, hearing Marv say that ending is legit hard. And he said, I should play Remnant from the Ashes on Nightmare mode. Well, that's because you're a god, man. That's why, Chavez. But Steezy, I don't know. I'm right now. I'm actually thinking about another game that I didn't finish, and it was mainly because I really think the main reason I didn't finish this was because I was starting to drift away from the Xbox anyway, and I'll also be admitted. I think I was worried that I was getting the same boat that I was getting with Bioshock, because I can't even remember where I was stuck in it, but it was Batman Arkham Asylum, and don't clean, just throw. Would you stop? Mark? I'm going to trust me, Chavez. I'm getting there in baby steps. Okay, I'm getting there in baby steps. What I wanted to do is I wanted to take the steak out of the marinade. So yeah, so that's what was happening. That's what was happening. There was a lot happening this morning, and I think it's part of the I think that's part of the ups and downs of being a streamer. If you blink, you miss one small detail, and you can easily misinterpret what people are talking about in your stream. All right, so I'm just gonna let that drip. All right, so here's steak number one. It's another thing about when you cook. Your hands tend to get messy. Nothing wrong with that. This steak actually fell apart. Okay. These were two steaks, but they somehow multiplied in here. Did I get it all? I got it all. Okay. Oh, and Chavez, we are on for Monday Predator, right? I just want you to know, for the Monday Manhunt, I am working on Steve Saylor. I'm working on him to get a PC that can run it. So I am working on it. And okay, so you're a pro chef at cooking eggs and not burning my family's house down. That eggs are extremely versatile. They are good to cook with. They really are good to cook with. And so I would not dismiss eggs in any way, shape, or form. They are worth your time to master. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. That's going to get the room temperature, and then I've got to turn on the grill. So yeah, so it's been I don't mind saying it. It has been one of the biggest weeks for me as a gamer. Um, with Big Marvinsky's help, I was able to have my first. I was able to finally get a flawless Seraph Tower run, which meant I got the Almighty Seal. I know Farrell got her Almighty Seal, and she did it randomly, and she did it as a random matchup, and that was her first seal. So good on you, Farrell. GG's to you. In fact, hang on a minute. I can't remember if I gave you GG's, but I'm just going ahead. All right, I'll do it this way then. Do not deny me. Come on. There we go. That'll work. So that's for you, Farrell. But I got the Almighty Seal. Yesterday, I finally finished the Lumina quest. So now I get it, how much everybody liked the Lumina. Last night was the Global Accessibility Awareness Day stream with Logitech G and Steve Saylor, and that was a huge hit. And now 2 or 3 triumphs away from the Unbroken title. Very nice. That's a good one. That's a good one to carry. And then this morning I faced a fear. I faced a massive fear, and I did it. So it's been a good week. It's been a good week as a gamer. And tomorrow, oh yeah, and I also and also last night off stream I finished Fellwinter's Lie. So I'm gonna give the Fellwinter's Lie a test spin.
Dad, do you want a fun fact on that?
Give me a fun fact on the Fellwinters.
It's really garbage.
Compared to what?
D1.
Well, no. Well, pretty much any of the resurrected weapons from D1 are sad knockoffs in D2. I'm the first one to say that. But is it? Everybody was using it last night in the Crucible, though. But I mean, like, how would you compare Fellwinter's compared to what? Mindbenders? Right. Right. But anyway, well, I get to play with that tomorrow morning. That's the plan. That's game plan. So it's been a good week as a gamer, and hopefully tonight will be a good night for eating. We'll see how this goes. Anyway, thanks everybody for joining me. This has been a lot of fun. And again, in Discord, there is going to be pictures of the last few steps, which I can't do right now because I've got to go outside now, get the grill going, and I'm going to slap these puppies on the grill promptly at 6. So keep an eye on social. Social will go on ahead and let everybody know where we'll let everybody know where and when we will be going live with Philippa's Freaky Friday tonight. But I thought I'd let you all get a look inside to what we were planning tonight. This is a carne asada street tacos recipe from Danny Trejo's Tacos recipe book, and it's been a blast. Thank you everybody for joining me. I'm going to go on ahead and let no comment, Chavez, and I'll let everybody I'll let AutoHost do its thing. Thanks everybody for being here. I certainly do appreciate it. I will see you all in stream later tonight. Until then, take care. Have a good one, everybody.